Greed for money killed his wife. Introduction to the couple. Ravi and Priya were a loving couple living a simple life. After their marriage, they settled in a small town where, despite life's struggles, their love for each other remained strong. Ravi was a hardworking man who toiled day and night to provide for his family. Priya was a kind-hearted and caring wife, always looking after her husband's needs. Their bond was built on love and contentment, but Ravi's inner desires were slowly pulling him away from peace. He often found himself thinking about how much better his life would be if he were wealthy. Despite these desires, he had never compromised his values. However, there was a subtle greed inside him, which slowly began to influence his thoughts and decisions. Temptation and greed. One day, while attending a business seminar, Ravi met a wealthy businessman named Vikram, who spoke confidently about his success and lavish lifestyle. Vikram shared stories of how he made his fortune through daring ventures and risky decisions. Ravi listened intently, his mind consumed by the idea of wealth. He admired Vikram's lifestyle, the luxurious cars, the big house, and the freedom that came with financial power. Vikram, sensing Ravi's desire for more, subtly planted the idea that success often requires bold and unconventional choices. "Opportunities don't wait for the cautious," Vikram told him with a knowing smile. These words struck a chord deep inside Ravi. For the first time, Ravi entertained the possibility of shortcuts to wealth. At first, Ravi tried to push away the thoughts, telling himself that he should be content with his life. But the allure of quick money consumed him more with each passing day. Greed began to overshadow his conscience, making him believe that a life of luxury was within his grasp if he made just one bold decision. His innocent longing for a better life slowly twisted into a dark obsession. The sinister plan. As days passed, Ravi's thoughts grew darker, and the seed of greed that had been planted in his mind began to take root. He started to see his wife, Priya, not as his partner in life, but as a means to an end. One evening, after a long conversation with Vikram about wealth and power, Ravi's mind began to hatch a chilling idea. Priya had a life insurance policy worth millions, something she had taken out years ago for their future security. Ravi knew that if something were to happen to her, he would receive the full payout. The thought of this money consumed him. He began to justify his dark thoughts, convincing himself that he deserved this wealth more than anyone else. He rationalized that it would be for a better life, that Priya would be better off without the financial struggles, and that it was a risk worth taking. Ravi started secretly researching methods to execute the plan. He studied poisons and ways to make her death appear natural. He began to plan the details meticulously, from the timing to the method. The more he thought about it, the more convinced he became that this was the only way to secure the life he had always dreamed of. His love for Priya was overshadowed by the burning desire for money, and the sinister plan took shape in his mind. It was no longer a matter of right or wrong. It was all about achieving his goal. The crime and consequences. One quiet evening, Ravi put his plan into motion. Priya had prepared a warm cup of tea, as she always did after dinner, and handed it to him. He smiled at her, his heart beating faster with each passing second, but he hid his emotions behind a calm exterior. As Priya sat beside him, sipping her own tea, Ravi silently watched her. He had mixed the poison into her cup earlier that evening, knowing that it would take a few hours to show its effects. Slowly, Priya began to feel unwell. Her face turned pale, and she clutched her chest, gasping for breath. Panicking, Ravi rushed to call for help, pretending to be desperate and helpless. "Priya, what's happening to you?" he cried as he dialed emergency services. But despite the efforts of the paramedics, Priya passed away that night. The police were called, and an investigation began. Ravi, still in shock, played the part of the grieving husband. However, something seemed off. The authorities noted that Priya's sudden death seemed too coincidental, especially since Ravi had been the one to call for help. An autopsy was conducted, and traces of poison were found in Priya's system. The investigation deepened, and soon the police found evidence that linked Ravi to the crime. His recent internet searches on poisoning methods were discovered, and inconsistencies in his story raised suspicion. Ravi's calm demeanor and lack of visible grief added to the doubts surrounding him. The evidence mounted, and Ravi's world came crashing down. He was arrested and charged with his wife's murder. The money he had sought so desperately was now worthless, and the life he had hoped to